All right, here we are, people. This is a place and a time to set it up, because you've set up your team in your safe place, and this is all part of the process. Frickin' lose it. You have total permission, because look, it hurts. You have to really address it. That means pulling it out of your body literally. Like, so if you need to beat something with one of those Nerf bats, not a human or an animal or something precious, you use a punching bag or a sofa or whatever, something that you purge it from your body. You address rage and anger and sadness, because you know what, maybe you need to scream and then have a good cry. Maybe you need to have a safe place to cry and then suddenly turn into a little Tasmanian devil for a minute and just like rage and like have an outburst about every single thing that is coming up, like that is the core, connected to the core anger and rage and hurt, because it's all, anger always leads back to hurt. So address it, purge it in your safe place. A great thing to do is something physical. So when you're with your group or with your therapist or with your healer, I love all my wackadoodle healers. Have a safe place. That's why we've set it up, to have your team and your safe place to do it. To literally, if you have never screamed, frickin' lose it. Scream it until, there's many different exercises. This is what your therapist to work with you, what works for you and your therapist and your support group. Perhaps there's someone who can act as your offender and you rage on them, not physically. You yell at them. There are many different exercises to do. The point is to feel it. And I know it's scary, but we've talked about this. Like, it hurts. It hurts to do this, but it's way more beneficial to you in the long run to do it. It's kind of like literally pulling out the sword, pulling out a splinter, fixing a broken bone, going through labor. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine, like, you know what? You can even get these swords and do an exercise together where you literally pull it out, okay? All of those seem silly, but it really does work, and it gives you a thing to actually do, an exercise to do, because once you give yourself the freedom to, like, okay, this is your safe place, you're with your team, you have the freedom to say every curse word you ever heard in your life, to have a total flip out. Nobody is allowed to judge you for it. You can't bring it up later, like, you said the whatever word. No, this is like freedom to lose it at however level you need in a safe place, okay? And maybe it's literally like you just need to cry because you already have all the rage. Like I've said before, it's like the rage and anger, or the total emotional outburst that you've never been allowed to do because you're like the strong, total, barrier type. Then you need to freaking cry. And nobody is allowed to judge you for it or bring it up later. You have a safe place to do this, okay? Because really, what's the worst that can happen? We're not in the trauma anymore. We're removing this. Like I've said before, you're not going to cry for the rest of your life. That's why we talk about sword. It's like, yeah, it hurts. It hurts, but then this is all a process. Like, it's so worth it. And you're allowed. You have permission to really let go. Just let go of it. Let go of it. See it coming unraveled. Let yourself unravel and purge it. Okay? Now I want to reiterate, this is important to have your team in a safe place. I had a friend of mine who literally had to check herself in to a padded wall area, like a rehab center, but seriously, like within a padded wall. And she freaking lost it. And that was what she needed to do. And it doesn't mean that she's insane. It doesn't mean she's now in an insane asylum. It means she needed to unplug from her fancy life in Hollywood and go to a padded room and lose it. And she did that, and it was like, that's what she needed to do. And, she left, and she's like, oh my God, I need to do that. because that was her safe place. Like for whatever it is for you, safe place to lose it. Let yourself unravel. Let it all come out, and do not judge yourself. Whoever is on your team, not allowed to judge you. You're not allowed to be in trouble. You know, there's no getting in trouble for what you're saying. Just, okay? Because you feel it and then you heal it. And what's the worst that can happen? Look at this like an exercise, okay? Look at this like this is your dramatic exercise. Because if you look at it like a homework assignment, some people that works, where you're like, oh, okay, well, she said that I have to do this. And then when you're in the process of doing it, you're like, oh yeah, this feels good. Or I needed this, like, go with it. Let yourself do it. It's totally worth it. It's totally worth it, and you deserve it, and you have permission, okay? Oh, do it. And thank you for being the support team. If you're on the support team that's working with somebody, thank you so much. It's so important, and you're so awesome. Thank you so much for helping.